Hello, I'm Eric O'Neill. I'm a former FBI counterintelligence operative. I'm now a public speaker, and I've spoken hundreds of times all over the world, both in person on stage, and now, especially, virtually. I'm an accomplished author, I'm a cybersecurity professional, and I'm also the national security strategist for one of the biggest cybersecurity companies out there. This looks like your classic disinformation campaign.
Eric O'Neill is a former FBI operative.
Steal the information with a cyber attack, get the emails from Hunter Biden's account, and then put them on these laptops that are left at a repair store. And that's how the information is now laundered into the public.
Who do you think is behind this?
Well, the Russians would be my number one guess, if I had to guess. I lecture frequently about espionage, about cybersecurity, and I also tell one hell of a thrilling spy story. I've had a lot of questions about my virtual setup. So here it is, my virtual setup, my virtual world. This is my background. And I get a lot of questions about how I make it look so good. Well, I've invested a lot of time, energy, and unfortunately money into making the background look this way. First of all, I stand when I speak. This allows me to enunciate every word. It also means that I'm not compressing my diaphragm when I'm sitting. And I can give what I want to give your audience. A little bit more of that stage presence they have when I'm standing on a stage in front of them.
More importantly, and we did an analysis of this at the cyber company that I work with, Carbon Black. We looked at an analysis of the 2016 attacks and what it really meant to Russia and what it meant to the U.S. And when we talked to a lot of people across the U.S., this massive survey, it turned out that after that attack, 1 in 4 people said they were not going to vote in the election because they were afraid that Russia could learn what their vote was going to be. In this contentious election where I think a lot of people were holding their nose and voting,
right.
And they didn't want anyone to know who they were voting for. They were afraid that a cyber attack could unveil who they voted for. That means 1 in 4 people may not have voted in that election. Can you imagine the damage that can be caused by just a cyber attack?
And help my audience understand Russia's motives in this.
So Russia's motives are and always have been to cause problems here in the United States, to turn us against each other. If we're so busy fighting in our inner politics here, if we're divided as a country here, we are not projecting our force, our democracy, our values across the world, and that gives Russia space to grow. That gives Putin space to push his version of what the world should look like across the world. If we're not looking outward, if we're not doing our job as Americans to bring democracy and our values to the world, then that helps Russia, and that is what he's trying to do.
I use some pretty good technology in speaking. I have a 4K HD camera. I also use a professional podcasting microphone, professional lighting, and I have my computer hooked directly into a dedicated internet router in my home office. I deliver most of my keynotes without slides. Once again, I want to give your audience that feeling that they're seeing somebody on stage. And when you use slides, when you use presentations, you end up in this tiny little box at the top as the speaker. Now, I can use slides, and I've used them very effectively. I've used quite some excellent presentations, and when I do use presentations, I kind of like to be the one who advances them. But I'm a storyteller first, and what I promise you is your audience will always get a thrilling story. At the conclusion of my keynotes, I am always happy to take questions and answers. In fact, by the time I'm done speaking, usually the Q&A box or the comment box are filled with questions from your audience. And one of the most rewarding parts of a presentation for someone sitting in the audience is getting that direct feedback right from the speaker, getting to ask that burning question that they really want.
Matt, here's one of the tweets that came out from Matt Taibbi as part of the exposure of Twitter. He said, Twitter's public policy executive, Caroline Strom, so it's Strom's note, returned the answer that the laptop story had been removed for violation of the company's hacked materials policy. Now, you had been approached by the FBI. They were in possession of the laptop and that information. We also know that agencies were meeting with Twitter on a regular basis and other social media companies before the election. So how much time would Twitter or the FBI have had with your material, especially the FBI, before they made this excuse that it was hacking?
Well, the FBI took possession of the laptop on December 9th, and with that, they took all my notes, all my information that I had provided them.
I even have been doing virtual book signings of my book, Great Day. And yes, This is possible. So I hope to be your speaker in the future. And if you'd like to learn more about me, please go to www.ericoneal.net. You can learn a lot there, or reach out to one of my unbelievably awesome speakers agents over at Big Speak. I hope to be speaking for you soon. This looks like your classic disinformation campaign.
Eric O'Neill is a former FBI operative.
Steal the information with a cyber attack, get the emails from Hunter Biden's account, and then put them on these laptops that are left at a repair store. And that's how the information is now laundered into the public.
Who do you think is behind this?
Well, the Russians would be my number one guess, if I had to guess.